it was kind of fun to go back and watch because Chef, who is a predominant character.
Yeah, by the second or third episode, he is maybe the most shown adult on the show.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of really good Chef jokes about having sex with white women. I did enjoy that. I laughed many times about the white women sex jokes.
Now, children, gather around and watch the wonders of life, the beauty of Mother Nature. Now I know how all those white women must have felt.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast, coming at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd, and with me, as always, is my brother.
This place is a dump.
Hey, Gabrielle Johnson, how are you?
Great, Dave. How are you?
I am fantastic. Are you ready to talk 1997?
I'm ready to rumble. Let's
do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Be Kind Rewind. 1997. All right, so as always, we're going to get started with the soundtrack of our lives, music from 1997. Scott, you're going to take away this one to start. What do we got? We got 1997, and I know a band that you're a huge fan of.
Well, this one album in particular.
Okay, all right, let's hear about it. Who?
The band Third Eye Blind.
Yes.
This is their debut album. With, I mean, how many? 5 singles off that album?
They officially released 5 singles. Yep.
Every one of them a banger. The whole album's great, start to finish. There's not a miss on the album.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a miss on that album at all. This was one of those first albums that I remember that just existed forever.
Yeah, they just kept coming. Every 3 months.
Yep.
A new Third Eye Blind song came on the radio.
Yep. I looked it up. I think the first single was Semi-Charmed Life, and that was the fall of 97. And then the last single...
Very upbeat song about meth addiction.
Well, we can talk about that.
I'm packed and I'm holding, I'm smiling, she living, she golden, she lives for me, says she lives for me.
The whole album is very depressing. But the first single in the fall of 97, and then the last single fell off the chart in December of 98.
Well, so it was 2 years. It was
year
and a half of
2 full years of being on the Billboard Top 100 or Top 200 or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, just a hell of a list of songs.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, what do we got? So there's Semi-Charmed Life.
Yep.
How's It Gonna Be?
Yep.
Was Graduate one of them?
Graduate was one of them.
And then Losing a Whole Year?
Losing a Whole Year, which I was surprised by because that's one of those songs, much like My Name is Jonas, where like the very beginning of that song, you're like, holy shit, we are in for a fucking album here, aren't we? Yeah. Which was a single as well. And then what's the last one?
And then the year later would be Jumper.
Jumper is the last one. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Got a fan here.
I know my stuff. I would probably replace Losing a Whole Year with Narcolepsy myself.
So that was the thing that I thought was crazy was that, so the first 6 songs on the album are those 5 songs plus Narcolepsy, which is song number 2. And I would maybe agree as well, but just, so let's say you go and you buy an album and you're just bang after bang after bang after bang for the first 6 songs. Yeah. And then of course the album ends with what I would argue
the last 3 songs, the best birthday present I've ever gotten, most personal birthday present I ever got was from my wife, girlfriend at the time. She just bought me the record.
Okay.
Framed the record that has God of Wine, the background, and arguably my favorite song of all time, Motorcycle Drive-By.
So I was going to ask you what your favorite song of that album was. I knew the answer, but I was going to ask you anyways. And it, of course, is.
It's Motorcycle Drive-By. That song is just... It's a goddamn adventure. It's a journey.
I'll check it out.
It's crazy because that album... So like Semi-Charmed Life, let's talk about that real quick and then we'll get back to Motorcycle Drive-By. Semi-Charmed Life was just appeared on the outside to be that mid-90s
Upbeat pop.
upbeat alternative pop. Yeah. Like, the Friends theme song. Like it kind of in that vein, right? And then you come to find out it's all about meth.
Doing crystal meth to lift you up.
It's a lift you up. To lift you up.
Until you break.
Until you break. and not only that, but like every freaking song is pretty depressing. Like Jumper is obviously about suicide. And then you get to the end of the album and it does what I really enjoy about albums like this is that it just kind of takes you on a journey. And by the end, you're just, we're ready to kind of come down a little bit. And the last 3 songs specifically, Motorcycle Diaries being the second to last.
Motorcycle Drive-By.
Motorcycle Drive-By, excuse me. Motorcycle Drive-By. And then God of Wine, which is my favorite.
I think it's actually Stephen Jenkins, the lead singer. I think that's his favorite song.
Is God of Wine?
It's God of Wine.
So I went on a journey today because we're going to talk about this. So I started listening to Third Eye Blind. I was like, here we go. It's an hour. It's an hour album. Yeah. I skipped the whole middle section, but I got to Motorcycle Drive-By, and I was like, God, I understand completely why Scott loves this song because as a guitar player, what a song.
Oh, what a ride.
Yeah. And then for me, God of Wine, I like songs, we've talked about this before, that have crescendos. And that song has a one little hump. And it's like, oh, nope, we're going again.
Yeah.
And all about addiction and watching like a loved one struggle with that. And that song rips my soul apart. I'm just going to say that. I love it. I listened to it today and I was like, fucking Christ, dude, that song still just rips me to shreds. So
yeah, very, very well crafted.
Yeah.
The music, the whole album.
Great album. I remember that came out when I was in 9th grade. I remember sitting in our homeroom class, and that's just what we listened to for an entire year, right? And then it just kept going for the whole next year too. It's just that album never went away.
No.
So yeah,
rightfully so.
Yeah. One of the best of the mid '90s. So
yeah, and then they didn't do a whole lot after that.
They had the Blue. I think it was just called Blue.
Yeah. So Blue was their second album with the same lineup. And then the guitar player, Kevin Cadigan, I believe is his name. He's the guy who made all the hooks in all the songs and made them all super catchy. Yep. Well, there was a spat between
probably
Stephen Jenkins and no, it was more rights related. It was Jenkins, the lead singer, wanted to be in control of everything. When on the first album it was a collective, it was a collaboration, and that's how it was listed on everything. Yep. And then Stephen Jenkins went behind Kevin Cadigan's back and made it all about him.
I'm sure they made a song about it.
So then Kevin said, no more catchy hooks for you.
Exactly.
Good luck with your song.
Yep.
No, it's just depressing. People will know this is about meth. All right, anyways, let's move on from that wonderful album. So
yeah, absolutely fabulous. Yeah. I still listen to it to this day.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on from that. Continuing in the world of music, Gabriel Johnson.
I don't have an album for you, Dave.
Okay, what do you got for me?
I've got a song.
Okay.
Just one song.
One song.
One song. Do you like Tag Team?
Yes.
Yeah. You a fan of the 69 Boys?
No, we've already talked about it. Yes.
Technotronic?
Yeah.
Do you like Chris Berman calling a touchdown call?
Sprinkling a little bit of cheerleading.
And 20 other of your favorite 90s jock jams in the Jock Jam.
The Jock Jam.
Everybody's familiar with the Jock Jam albums that came out in the 90s, kind of pump up music. This was on the third Jock Jams installment.
Yes.
They called it The Jock Jam. And it was pretty much just a sampling of every single song on all 3 albums.
Let's take 3 full albums of all this upbeat music and let's cram it into 4 minutes and add cheerleaders.
All of 90s excess in a 4-minute span.
Starts with Let's Get Ready to Rumble, I watched the video today, and my favorite part is that dude, I forget what his name is.
Michael Buffer.
Yeah, he at one point gets into the dancing with the cheerleaders. So, and does about the job you would expect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's peak 90s. Peak 90s. Doesn't get any better than that.
The Jock Jam.
The 25 breaks a couple of tackles. And look at him go! And look at him go! He could go all the way.
The Jock Jam. Is that like the first mashup ever?
To that
Because
extent, probably.
that's like girl talk. 10 years before girl talk.
Yeah, that's a lot. That of that extent, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, people had mashed previous, but yeah, I was looking at because I saw the list of samples. It was like 4 pages, and it doesn't mesh well.
No, the tempo is off on every single one of the songs. It's really jarring. It's almost like an auditory uncanny valley.
Yes.
Is this music?
Jam, pump the jam, pump it up,
We're jamming. The jam. Well, if only they would have figured out a way to, make the music all have the same pitch and key.
Well, alas.
Oh.
I found a way.
Whoa, hold on.
What a segue.
Segue extraordinaire.
In 1997, we saw the introduction of Autotune to the musical world.
Which is insane to me. 97. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Windows 95.
Couldn't Autotune.
Couldn't.
Well, you saw the guys on stage.
I think you sent a picture of the window of it, and it is just peak mid 90s PC.
Yeah, it looks like a Winamp almost.
Yeah.
Control panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that there was enough computing power to actually
Destroy music.
destroy music for the rest of time.
Well, you better believe. Because in 1998, we're going to talk about it.
Because I can already hear it. All right, well, let's round up music. What else you got there?
Well, in 97, I mean, you had the Jock Jam,
yeah, the
pinnacle of music. And then out came the Spice Girls, the Hanson Brothers, the Backstreet Boys, all debuted 1997.
Girls, bros, and boys.
Yeah, that's a hell of a run there. I think you had said
I said they were
yeah, that is what you had said. Callie's a huge fan of the Spice Girls. She was the perfect age for that at the time. But you had said both their first 2 albums and
the movie.
Spice World or whatever.
All calendar year 97.
All calendar year 97. That's Jim Carrey level cramming all the
But were any of them famous for anything before that?
I don't think so.
So it was all planned.
Oh, well,
it was a
that's all
psyop. It was
it is.
something
Yeah.
the government was trying to push through to the young girls. Whatever, it got Callie.
That's easy.
Yeah, that's not difficult. Interesting. Let's say that. And Spice Girls, they did well for themselves.
Hey, I'll get down to some Spice Girls.
Everyone always wants to pretend that like music is this magical thing that only like a handful of musicians get together in a room. The majority of music that we know is all pre-planned by some dudes.
Well, and it's all written by like 4 people.
That's exactly right. Yep.
There's like 4 people that write every
Everything.
pop song, every hit pop song of the last 30 years.
Yep.
Some guy in like Denmark or some shit.
It's true. It is. All right. Well, then let's just finish this off with the very last band that needs to be spoke of from 1997, the introduction of
Creed?
with the question mark? I would have thought Creed.
No, it's Creed.
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 I remember the first time I heard the song My Own Prison. We were driving around in a car because that's what you did in 1997 in Brainerd, Minnesota. You drove, they called it the Strip, which was a mile of highway right through the middle of town. And you'd just make loops. That's all you did. And you'd get out of someone's car and get into somebody else's car. We were in the back of somebody's car. and they pulled over so that we could listen to this sweet fucking jam. So I sat in the back of someone's car at the age of 15 and listened to the song My Own Prison, and then had a dude that was probably very high on marijuana explaining to me that, he was in prison. And I was like, I don't think you understand what this man is saying in the lyrics of this song. So immediately after hearing the song, My Own Prison, I had someone try to explain to me that
It was a literal prison.
that the guy from
Just
Creed
for him.
wrote this song in prison. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. Turns out it was not. So
Your brain has the shell on it.
and now we've got Creed.
Yeah.
The Vikings could use a little bit more Creed.
The Vikings good. Bring them back. All right, let's move on from music. You can't say enough about the mediocrity that is 1997 from music, except for Third Eye Blind. Really good.
Well, Radiohead launched OK Computer that year.
They did, but Radiohead is weird, dude. Radiohead is weird.
Yes, but OK Computer is an excellent album.
It is.
I've never actually sat down and listened to Radiohead.
I went on a Radiohead kick for a while. Very experimental. They were experimenting not just with different styles of music, but different recording styles. So there's some really weird shit in their catalog. And OK Computer, I would put into that category.
That's experimental.
Some weird shit. All right, let's move on.
Let's not forget Nimrod, Green Day.
Oh yeah.
That's
It's a good one. It has good riddance on it, right?
Can't forget it.
yes.
Can't forget it. Did forget it. Can't forget it. All right, let's move on to the news. We got to move a little bit quicker here.
Okay.
Gabe, take us away with the news. What do we got going on in the year 1997?
You know, in 1997, we saw the once every 3,000 year return of the comet Hale-Bopp.
3,000 years.
Comes by, checks on us once every 3,000 years.
Yep.
And there was a group of, well, we'll call it a cult. What the hell?
We might as well.
There was the Heaven's Gate cult in California thought that there was a tiny spaceship following this comet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And they were going to shed their earthly bodies.
Yes.
And their souls were going to join the aliens.
Just in time.
How's that work?
Oh, well, you take some barbiturates, wash it down with some vodka.
Yep.
But that doesn't kill you. It only really relaxes you. So then you put a plastic bag over your head.
Oh, yeah.
What? Really?
Yes, that's how they did it.
I didn't know that.
They did it in phases.
Oh, no.
Because then after somebody finally died, they took the plastic bag off and draped a...
You're gonna die in
reused?
somebody else's bag? Oh no!
Put a purple...
This bag smells like Steve.
Thing sucks.
So there was 39 people in the cult that committed suicide. The last two still had plastic bags on their head because nobody was there to take the bag off and put a blanket over them.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were discovered, it was in San Diego, so nice warm weather.
Yeah.
And they were discovered about a week later.
Oh, yeah.
Their earthly shells were discovered a week later. Their souls were on the spaceship with the comet Hale-Bopp.
This is crazy.
Two returned to Earth in about 4,500.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think they're coming back, though. Are they coming back?
They don't want to come back.
No.
They're gone.
No.
So where did they go?
To the comet. To the spaceship. To the comet.
The next level of existence
Oh, which is
beyond
just
human form.
So it's just on a spaceship.
Yeah. I always
Maybe
love...
that's how they get there.
I always love that. I always love that the next form is on something that we can envision us creating.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean.
It's not like
it's like an airplane.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
they're drifting through the cosmos as dust. No, they're in a metal structure that is tiny enough for no one to be able to see it behind a comet.
It's science.
Looks like a saucer.
Fucking
Did
morons.
nobody ask these questions?
Oh, I've seen pictures of these people, and it's just a lot of mental health. A lot of mental health.
And it took him, he formed the cult in 74, 72. It took him 27 years to get 39 followers.
Okay.
39.
Well, it's pretty tough to have a religion where you're like, on this very specific day.
They
We're
didn't
gone.
know that it was about the comet till 1994.
Yeah, so what was it about before then? You spent 20 years
They
doing
were
what?
searching for what it was.
Oh,
for
they were
20 years.
looking for Heaven's Gate? They found it. Ring the doorbell. Let's go. I
Finally, a reason to kill myself.
did he go with them? Was
Yeah,
he?
he did.
Okay, all right. At least he did that because typically they're just there to fuck and then move on and let everyone else die.
And he banned fucking.
Oh,
And
that's
it's,
weird.
It's unknown if he was fucking anybody.
Had
Like,
to
he
have
may
been.
not have been.
Well, you ban fucking and then only you are allowed. To.
That's usually what the leaders do.
Yeah, that's usually how that works. So,
Was he one of the final two?
No.
Really?
oh, he went early.
Yep.
I think if the leader,
He had to have the purple blanket over him. He couldn't have a plastic bag over his head. He's the leader.
I don't know if the leader goes. I think somewhere down the chain you go. You know what?
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of excrement in this room.
This place stinks.
Poop again!
Moving on to a different plane, and it is not on a spaceship.
Fun fact, former followers,
Oh.
like 3 or 4 of them, all committed suicide like within a year or two.
Oh, but then you missed the ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Did they though?
We'll never know.
We'll never know. We'll never know. And here we are saying this, and yet we're probably wrong.
Yeah.
They're-
Stuck
they're-
in our human shells.
They're over there zipping around the cosmos behind a comment. All right, yeah, crazy. I thought it was Kool-Aid though. They weren't the Kool-Aid group. What
no,
the
it was
Kool-Aid
some
group?
barbiturates and vodka.
Okay, all right.
Well, what's
Kool-Aid
funny?
was
What's funny
the-
about the Kool-Aid
the
people
Jonestown.
is that it wasn't even Kool-Aid.
It wasn't.
It was an off-brand Kool-Aid.
It was Flavor Right.
I think so.
Oh,
I think that's
man.
actually what it was.
That's crazy. All right.
Somehow the Flavor Right people got ahead of it. Yeah. Started calling it
Drink the
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Now that's good PR.
Yeah.
They were drinking off-brand.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of dead people, good group here. Good group of people that passed away. So we'll start off. Chris Farley passed
Sad.
away. Sad.
Shame.
Definite shame. And I don't like that there are photos of it. I don't like that. I don't
Are they
like,
real?
I don't know. But
I've only seen the one.
I saw the one, and it looked. I don't know why somebody would fake that. I guess would be my thing.
You don't know why somebody would
Well, I
fake
do know why somebody would fake it, but
We're talking about it right now.
it seems like a lot of work. Seems like a lot of work.
To get a fat
Anyways,
guy to
saw
lay
this
on his back
picture on the
and
internet.
look dead.
Yeah. Anyways, the picture I saw looked like it was a dead Chris Farley. Sad, very sad, because up until that point, you know, one of the biggest movie stars around, but then had just come off of Saturday Night Live, had just been on Saturday Night Live again as the host. If you've watched any of those documentaries about that whole ordeal. And yeah, just really sad. That was super sad.
He was the first celebrity death that made me sad.
Yeah.
Like I was going to miss him. And,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
and the last one. And
Yeah.
you know, for a while I was sad and I was like, wait a second. I don't even know this fucking guy.
But you know how he made you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He made me laugh.
I remember I was on the basketball bus, and I believe it was Joe Morgan told me. I was like, "What? It's insane!" And we didn't have cell phones at the time where you could like look it
Yeah,
up.
I immediately drove over to Keith Larson's house and like, dude, did you hear the news?
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. Yeah. Also, passing away in this year was Princess Di.
I do not know where I was when she died.
I do not either. I don't remember much about Princess Di dying, other than the fact that then Elton John rewrote the lyrics to one of his other songs to be Goodbye England's Rose, which I never understood. Like I was like, well, why wouldn't he just make a different song? And then I learned later on in life that he doesn't write the
lyrics.
He only writes the
Music.
He has a music partner that writes
Lyrics.
and then he sits down and writes the
Music.
So now I kind of think that's kind of lame. Like wouldn't you? I would ask the guy to write me a different song. Like let's do something new.
Maybe it was the perfect music for
Could have
Candle in the Wind. I don't know. People bought the album.
They did. People bought the album. People bought the Beanie Baby. Yeah,
And the Queen got away with it.
and the Queen got away with it. Also, really messed up. I just watched a short clip of this because I don't think it's enough to like go into depth about. But they were trying to get away from paparazzi. The guy that was driving was like 3 times over the legal limit and smashed into a concrete barrier. She was alive when
The Queen showed up and suffocated her.
Heaven's Gated her, they call it. But no, she I think she, maybe one other of the passengers, but was still alive as paparazzi were snapping photos, and she was asking for fucking help. It's like very fucked up. Very fucked up. I did not know that. So
I also did not
they
know
kept
that.
that under wraps. At least the thing I watched. Could be like the Chris Farley photo. All things could be fake, but that's very messed up. So, it's very sad. Very sad. Goodbye, England's Rose. Goodbye. Should we move on? Should we get going here? We gotta wrap a few things up here. Just a couple of firsts, a couple of starts for the year. Both Google and Netflix started in 1997.
Netflix.
Yep.
97.
97. Google, filed for their domain. You can kind of figure out where they went from there. But Netflix, I thought, was pretty funny because Netflix began because there was a $40 late fee. Let's take a guess on what movie the late fee was on in 1997.
Gone Fishing.
Gone Fishing. Hold on, is that Danny Glover?
Yeah, and Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. I can see the picture. It's one of those that's been redone. It's they're underwater, like they're standing under there, and there's fish in the water. We should find how many of those exist because there's at least 2 of them of that exact same photo as covers. God, why would you come? Okay, no, that is not correct.
All right.
Independence Day.
It is not Independence Day. It was the movie Apollo 13. So Netflix exists because somebody couldn't return the movie Apollo 13 on time. Because $40 is pretty stupid. Like, how long did you have the damn movie? Like 4 days? Probably.
4 days.
Sadly.
4 days over.
Yeah, sadly. It's like $10 a day, probably. Who knows? Yeah.
Hell of a business model
Great business model.
until you go bankrupt.
Until Netflix destroys you for your late fees.
For your late fees because you wanted the movie Apollo 13 back.
Houston, we have a problem.
I will just say this about Netflix. Crazy how that used to be something you got in the mail. So you'd get however many discs you were allowed to get. And when we had it, we had 2 discs that we would get. The movie, or the documentary, The Staircase. I was just talking about this with our brother-in-law over Thanksgiving. I watched the documentary, The Staircase, 1 disc at a time through the mail, through Netflix. So I would binge watch like 4 episodes and be like, what in the hell is going on? I was so into this documentary. And then I would have to mail back the disc and wait for the next disc to come. And so it took like a month for me to watch this whole documentary.
Damn you, Netflix. You should have started Redbox that day.
And fun fact, I still have a Netflix disc. I don't know which one it is, but I still have in the little sleeve that it came in. I just never returned it. So
You rebel.
Yeah, you better watch. That's going to be a huge leap.
I should probably start my own company now. All right, let's move on. Keeping in the news category, we've got sports. Just super fast, we always say we're going to talk about the Bulls. Bulls won their 5th championship. So Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, all those guys. This was the Steve Kerr shot. Michael Jordan gets the deflu. And then...
Why did you say it like that?
I don't know, because I wanted to. What does it matter? Guy says he got deflu.
Guy at a Salt Lake City pizzeria jizzed on his pizza is what he got.
I don't think you get salmonella from jizz.
I don't know. I certainly wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Anyways. And also, speaking of basketball, the WNBA started in 1997 as well.
All right. Did the Lynx win that year?
I love that you're yawning. No,
Yeah,
they did
just
not.
instantly put me to sleep.
Turns out, still trying to score their first basket.
Gonna have a bad time.
Moving on from that.
Yeah, reminds me of the Spice Girls, Hanson Brothers, and Backstreet Boys.
It sucks.
Shit.
All right, let's move on really fast. Just finishing off sports, the Mike Tyson Holyfield fight.
Second fight.
The second fight. And Mike Tyson goes ahead and chomps on Holyfield's ear.
You don't want a fish sandwich?
And now they've teamed up to sell THC gummies shaped like ears.
Shaped like ears. Yep.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was watching a quick thing on that. There's a lot of people out there that also think that, because Holyfield had a couple of low blows and then some headbutts, and then Tyson was supposedly retaliating for that. I don't know. There's a big leap from headbutt to ear bite.
Yeah, headbutt, maybe punch you a little below the belt to eating part of your flesh.
Eating part of your flesh. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Mike Tyson describe it, though, when he just says he's an animal. When he's in the ring, he is an animal. He is in there to destroy his opponents.
Yeah,
well, sometimes you got to bite their ear out.
Oh, man, he chomps down on that thing, too. Spits it out. It's great. It's really great. Tiger Woods wins his first major championship as well. So 1997. Also gets hit in the head with golf clubs as well. So, all right, let's move on. His wife came after him with a golf club. She smashed him good.
You motherfucker.
The Swedish chef. His wife is the Swedish chef. All right, let's go toys and games, and let's start wrapping this episode up. Toys and games. Scott, I know that you had a toy that launched in 1997. What was that?
I did?
What was it?
I don't remember.
Tamagotchi.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Jesus Christ. You're the worst sometimes.
Yeah. I don't remember these things.
Well, so talk about the Tamagotchi just really fast because it launched in 1997. I was 15 years old and I did not get it at all. I knew everyone had them. I knew they were smashing success, but I was not understanding why anymore.
Yeah, it was just a little egg, just a tiny little egg with a screen on it that housed a creature that you could name, and basically it just would poop a lot.
Yeah, you named it, but then you had to take care of it.
Yeah, you had to, so in between classes.
Yeah, okay.
That
makes sense.
It sits in your pocket and does whatever the hell
I
it
wonder
does.
if I catch it.
Yeah, and then when the class is over, or you go out for recess, you take out your pocket and you realize that I forgot to feed it. It's dead. It was cute.
Your age group loved these freaking things.
Yeah.
Loved them. I didn't get it. I thought the little poop emoji was cute. There'd be a little steam coming off the poop. Yeah, but it just seemed like work.
It was a simpler time, Dave.
It was a simpler time. But yeah, it was just an electronic pet.
Yeah.
With an LCD screen that you then had to take care of like a real pet.
Mm-hmm. But if I don't feed my cat, or my cat eats a bunch, and I don't clean out its litter box, it doesn't die.
If you don't feed your cat?
I've not fed it before.
It just figures it out. Yeah. Well, anyways, huge.
Apparently, it's called Tamayuni. Like universe.
Oh no, no.
Yeah, there's little watches you can still get.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
The Tamagotchi Uni. It's more unique. United. And universal.
Oh, okay. Well, Nintendo went and did, Nintendogs, which was basically the same thing on the Nintendo DS later on as well. Speaking of Nintendo, super quick, GoldenEye.
One of the all-time great multiplayer games.
One of the greatest games of this generation.
Didn't we talk about this for 96?
We talked about
Nintendo Ultra.
Okay. But GoldenEye officially released in 97.
Okay.
The movie, I think, came out in 95. So this took a while to get this game going. But this was a smashing hit.
Revolutionary.
Every house you went to. Mm-hmm. Every house you went to either had a PlayStation or an N64. If they had an N64, this is all you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all you were doing. Sitting down, people putting in the divider so you couldn't see people's screens. Ton of fun. And then one of Scott's all-time favorite games on the PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII.
The best game ever made.
We're not going to get into that, so we're going to move on.
Every time we talk about a Final Fantasy installment, you say that.
Yeah, well, we do.
I've only said it about one other Final Fantasy.
But one other.
And Chrono Trigger and Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Basically just all of Squaresoft's.
And Baseball Robot.
Nerd alert! Yes!
It's called Base Wars, and it is the greatest game ever made. All right, let's wrap this episode up. Let's get into TV. Let's do a quick rapid fire. What TV shows came out in 1997? What do you guys got?
I got Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm going to double down. The movie fucking sucks. So I'm looking right at you guys out there. God, that pissed a lot of people off. The movie is absolute garbage.
But the gym is pretty memorable.
The gym is very memorable, enough to where if you watch 2 movies with it back to back, you remember. What else you got?
I have South Park.
You have South Park. Let's hold off on South Park. You said Caillou, which
No, fuck Caillou.
that's why I had to let you bring it up. That's why I had to let you bring it up. You said
What
Caillou.
a whiny little Canadian bitch. Get out of my TV.
How is that still a show? There are still books. There is still television. 1997 was a different time. Kids were cleaning up electronic poop. I think we can move the fuck on.
Get out of here.
Caillou. Angry Beavers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Angry Beavers was great. That was a
Angry
great
Beavers, Johnny Bravo,
Yep.
Recess.
In stereo.
Yeah, all awesome, awesome shows. And then I went and watched a handful of episodes of Spin City. I don't know if you guys remember Spin City
I
at
do
all.
remember Spin City. I used to watch that after school all the time.
So it actually holds up pretty well. I was pretty impressed by how well it holds up. Michael J. Fox, that's the show where eventually he had to stop acting because of Parkinson's. And you can kind of see it. I guess I watched a few things on it. I was thinking it would be more interesting than it is, the story of it. Basically, he just really got to the point where he couldn't even act anymore. They'd have to take like hour-long breaks to like let his medication kick in and stuff. So it was really kind of more sad than
He
anything.
should probably have taken his medication an hour earlier.
I would have done that. That's what I would have done.
Sounds like he needs a new doctor.
There's an audience. there's a crew. People are showing up at a specific time. Anyways, but I did like though that they said that he got pitched that show because it is the guy that did Family Ties, and he got pitched it as his role in Family Ties, which is Michael Keaton. Michael, what is his name?
It was the Keatons. It wasn't
Keaton.
Michael.
It's not Michael Keaton. It's Keaton. Alex Keaton.
Yeah.
Alex Keaton. The role in Spin City is Alex Keaton with power, is how it was pitched to him. So he's just a cocky little that then is the deputy mayor. So kind of fun. It was actually, it holds up a little bit. But the one that we'll talk about, and we'll end the episode with this, South Park. Gabriel Johnson, go.
The greatest social commentary outfit of all time, maybe of our time. It's up there with Mark Twain.
Yep.
I mean,
Specifically for our time.
Shakespeare.
but the creators and the writers on South Park have for 26 years now been holding a mirror up to society and just do it hilariously.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think 1997 is interesting. You and I both went back and watched most of the first season. And it's interesting because it starts off very sitcom-y. You know, like there are the handful of characters, but then there are the extra characters in there as well. You know, Mr. Garrison and the big one that it was kind of fun to go back and watch because Chef, you know, they had their falling out with Isaac Hayes, but it is interesting to watch the Chef character, who is a predominant character.
Yeah, by the second or third episode, he is maybe the most shown adult on the show.
Yes, yeah. And he's kind of he's the connection of, because their world is different. Like that's kind of the fun thing about that show in the early part is these are 10-year-olds and their world is different. And Chef is kind of the binding agent between the adults and the kids. Very sexualized, which is a lot of fun as well. There's a lot of really good Chef jokes about having sex with white women. I did enjoy that. I laughed many times about the white women sex jokes. But great. I still enjoy South Park.
Yeah, I do too. They recently released Into the Panderverse.
Oh man.
Fantastic look at Walt Disney Studios.
Oh my gosh. Well, they've been hitting Disney for a while too,
They have,
because they had the China stuff as well. But yeah, so for me going back and watching it, what I really thought was really interesting was the very first episode, the pilot episode, has the construction paper cutout look to it. And then episode 2, it is a very abrupt change to where they start doing it digitally. And I got to say, that construction paper look has a really cool look to it, because as an artist, you see the decisions they had to make. Like the composition and the way that the characters move in the scenes is very unique, because your limitations are, we had to cut the shit out of paper. Whereas like after they changed it to digital, there's a little loss of that. Plus there's a little bit of depth to it, or you can see where they've smudged some things in between frames and stuff. It's pretty interesting to watch. But I was really interested in the original, which is The Spirit of Christmas. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. The original that they made when they were in film school. Then they were given $1,000 from an executive, I believe it was at Warner Brothers, gave them $1,000 to remake The Spirit of Christmas. So the first version is it's Frosty the Snowman. Like they put a hat on Frosty and then he immediately kills Kenny, who in the original is Cartman. So right away, Cartman is killed, but Cartman is Kenny. And they kind of go through that. And then there's the $1,000 version, which is then closer to what you would think of as actual South Park. And that is Santa Claus versus Jesus. And that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jesus in the first season.
A lot of
he had
Jesus.
his public access channel back then.
He was a regular character. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that you had that original version, then they get the $1,000 to redo it, and then they shoot that pilot. But the pilot, it took 2 to 3 hours per shot. It took 70 days, roughly.
To make $1,000 for 2 guys?
No. So this was after they made the $1,000 version. Then they make the pilot to actually make the show.
The full 20-minute.
And that's why they then went digital at the second episode, because it was just outrageous how long it took. And now they just received in 2021 a $900 million deal with Viacom for 6 seasons, which the seasons have gotten shorter now. They're only like 6 episodes, but 14 feature-length films. So that's why we keep getting the Pandaverse,
they keep doing these
and
specials,
the COVID, all that stuff.
Streaming wars.
Yeah. But at the time, this changed, at least for our age. It was like, oh, shit, this is what people thought. This is what my parents thought The Simpsons was.
Right. Yeah. Which is funny because I, at 10 or 11 years old, had seen way more South Park than I had seen The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, parents knew that The Simpsons was detrimental to my health. They did not know anything about South Park.
There were a couple parents, though. I remember there were a couple of my friends' houses that you knew we were not supposed to watch it there. And so we'd be watching and be like, well, just if my parents come home, we got to shut this off. I remember that very specifically. And then, of course, those were the kids that had all the South Park stuff. They would have the N64 game and like little dolls and shit. It's like, your parents really don't like this, and you really enjoy that your parents don't like this.
Fuck you, Dad.
One last bit of fun information, and then let's go and get the hell out of here. So the theme song, everybody knows it's Primus.
Yes.
Les Claypool. Yep. The song at the beginning of the show is actually sped up. So he recorded a version of the song, and they're like, it just doesn't quite work. So they sped it up, and then he re-recorded his vocals for it. The original version of it, the actual tempo or speed of it, is what is played at the end of each episode.
Huh.
So that different version where it's long and drawn out, that's his original version of what he thought the theme song would be. And then that, if you go and listen to it, that beginning version is just that sped up.
Going down to South Park, gonna have myself a time.
Friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
Going down to South Park, gonna leave my woes behind.
Makes sense.
I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Having listened to that, how many freaking times? Probably thousands of times. I had no idea. So, all right, that is 1997. We are going to be coming back next week with part 2, the movies as well. What movies are you guys excited for?
Batman and Robin.
Men in Black.
Men in Black. Nice. Yeah.
I watched Scream 2.
Okay. All right.
I might have to watch Titanic. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Scream 2 was pretty good, but it was frustrating.
Yeah.
It was very frustrating to watch. The characters make terrible decisions.
Well, we'll get to that next week. So ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next week. You've got one more week to get your stuff over to us and let us know what you'd like us to talk about in terms of that. And then we will be back in 2 weeks with the news as well. Don't tell Scotty. But yeah, I think 1997, good year. One of my favorite years in terms of when you're 15, man. You're 15 is a great time frame in life. All right, we'll be back next week with the movies, and until then, we're done.
What year was I Know What You Did Last Summer? Is that 97?
Must have been.
I think that was 97, yeah.
Yeah.
So it would Scream 2.
We'll touch about that.
Yeah. And the guy that wrote that did he write Scream? I think he wrote Scream too. Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly. I was looking at what that guy wrote, and I was like, oh, wow, that's weird. I think that's correct. I think he wrote Scream. He wrote.
I always just assumed that Wes Craven did everything.
Well, I think this is I Know What You Did is a book that he adapted and then tried to sell it and nobody would buy it, and then did the screenplay for Scream. That was a hit, and then someone's like, what else you got?
Mm-hmm.
And then sold that as well.
Well, it sucks.
On up south, but gonna see if I can't unwind.